welcome back to my channel. I am Carew Culture. Hello, welcome if you're new here. I am more than happy to have you. And today we have another guest, Nicole, as part of the Insight series. Hello Nicole, welcome.
Hi, happy to be here. I'm the brains behind this channel anyway, so. Hi guys, thanks Abby for having me on your channel. Excited to talk everything compliance.
Nicole's not going to toot her own horn for herself, so I'm going to do it. Nicole managed to graduate from university, no experience, no offer, but secured an offer after graduating that required 2 years minimum of experience.
Let's get into it.
For those that don't know, what is compliance?
Good question. Compliance is basically anything that involves regulatory law. It's like how businesses operate and comply with regulation. So different entities and business types and enterprises based in different jurisdictions have to comply with different regulatory law. There's things like FATCA, which is like an American law, and you have European MiFID, MiFID II, ABC, Anti-Bribery and Corruption Act. There's different regulations basically that companies have to comply with, and yeah, that's basically what I do, and that's basically what compliance is. There's different, I want to say, avenues where like you have the transaction monitoring side of compliance, you have customer due diligence side of compliance. Yeah, that's compliance in a nutshell.
Very well said. So you explained a bit about what compliance is, but why did you choose compliance? Because essentially as an economics graduate, all everyone knows, we know, is investment banking.
Investment banking, exactly. For me, it's funny because the question is like, how did I choose compliance? I would say compliance chose me. So basically, after I graduated, so I was like, okay, so what could I do next? And that's when I got introduced to my mentor, Tina. She was like, well, I do compliance. I can, you know, coach you and teach you on what compliance is and what I do, and then you can like explore that and see if that's something you want to do whilst, you know, I'm still figuring out other options and things.
Yeah.
I had a whole summer to just do nothing, so I was like, you know what, might as well.
Might as well,
because I'm the kind of person who likes to stay proactive and be doing something, you know, like when I'm idle for too long, I just go a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, if anything, it's just a good experience and something to put on my CV, you know. She taught me like different regulatory laws, she taught me like different entity types and the different checks and customer due diligence things you have to do. I should probably explain because I keep saying customer due diligence. But we call it TDD or like EDD, which is basically like know your customer, KYC, and it's basically collate a lot of information and documents, IDs, files, to basically ensure the customer is who they say they are. Because basically if we don't do this stuff and we get checked by regulatory bodies, then that company can get heavily fined, they can be prosecuted, they can face jail time. It's a no-no.
Scary?
Yeah, exactly.
So graduated from university, no experience, you secured a job that required a minimum of 2 years experience, right? Okay, let's deconstruct this. How did you have the balls to go after that kind of role? Because we all know, if you're watching, seeing 2 years of experience, you're like, instant no, there's no point, what are we doing? And how did you make yourself stand out as well in the application process?
Yeah, without trying to get like too political and everything, I think as women, like we often don't go for jobs that we are qualified for. Like we'll see a job application and it will say like, you need to be able to do this, you need to have this qualification, you need to have this resume, and we might think, oh, like I don't fit the bill, like I'm not going to apply. And I kind of got into the mindset where I was just like, no, I'm going to apply, because like a lot of the time you can do the job, like 99% of the time, okay, maybe not 99% of the time, but a lot of the time you are qualified to do the job. And I think as well, because I had the guidance of my mentor kind of pushing me into these roles, she was like, just apply, just apply. Like, even if you get through to the interview stage, it's experience. Like now you have interview experience, you know what to do for the next time, kind of thing. Whenever I would see a job and like I was missing something on the application or I wasn't qualified for a certain part of it, I would apply anyway, because I was like, you know, worst case scenario, they say no. Best case scenario, I get the job, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I applied and I was fortunate enough to get a few interviews as well, and yeah.
Secured the job.
Secured the job.
Okay, so being a prime candidate, how did you do that? How were you that?
Yeah, but I think when I got to my interview now, it was a very lovely interview. It was very like informal, chatty, because I do compliance in the fintech space. Everyone knows fintech is a bit more relaxed and, you know, lovely life. And so it was a very like chilled out interview. It was mainly just talking about myself and like how I kind of fell into compliance, I guess you could say. And there was just a technical question. You had an entity type and it was a trust. What would be the due diligence steps you would take out when completing that case or completing that file or client or whatever that you need to establish?
So it was just knowing that information.
Knowing that information, like a lot of recall, I would say. And I think that was what set me out, I guess, because I was very impressed, I would say, with my knowledge.
Yeah, lack of experience.
Yeah, even though I had a lack of experience. So I feel like if you're ever in a situation where you don't have enough experience, if you compensate that with knowledge, you should be fine. Shows that you're trying, you know, you're putting the effort in, and
you can learn quickly on the job as well.
Yeah, most times it will pay off.
How about your CV though? Your CV, your cover letter, what do you have on there that lets you even get to the interview process? Because of course from the jump they know you don't have this experience, right? So what were the gems that you put on there?
My CV was, I think like everyone who kind of comes from our background studying economics and whatnot, like we have a lot of extracurriculars and a lot of like insight events. I remember like I used to drag you to so many insight events. I would be like, let's go to this one, let's go to Barclays.
Oh, we're not gonna talk about Barclays. A story for another day. On my CV, so you could kind of see that even from like a young age I was kind of financially orientated. Like I knew I wanted to go into banking. I didn't know whether I wanted to go as far as investment banking or, you know, maybe just stay commercially, but I knew I was definitely interested in the finance space. And I think having that on my CV along with like extracurriculars, because I joined a lot of societies. I went to Brazil and studied at the University of Sao Paulo, and I think just showing that like your more personal side as well as your academic side helped as well. And then obviously I had on my CV the mentorship that I had with my mentor, and that was obviously near the top, so obviously that was what they were looking for. Yeah, but I think that's what. This sounds so amazing. I need to go and study and have a summer off studying. Candidates that are watching, that want to get into compliance, what are you going to tell them? Especially because you don't have a law background, and this is a very law degree heavy industry. What would you have to tell the viewers? What do they need to know?
Yeah, I would say with any industry, any job, it's like you need to research. You need to research what you're getting into, what the industry entails of, what, you know, the job spec is going to look like, what the corporate culture is going to be like if you're going into the corporate space, or if you're doing like startups, fintech. Kind of like get a sense and a feel for like what that space is going to be like. Compliance respects, I would definitely say that knowledge is power here. Like it's all about what you know. So even if you don't have the experience like I didn't, if you can compensate that with, you know, knowledge and genuine interest, I think you should be fine. I don't think, like with compliance, obviously it's helpful if you come from a law background, because I'm sure like some of this stuff might be covered in modules and things, but I genuinely think you could come from any background and fall into compliance and you would do just fine, because obviously it is regulation, so they do have to teach you. Like if they don't teach you a company or a business or enterprise or anything, it's their responsibility to make sure their employees are up to speed and they know like what's what and what to do and what's not. Otherwise, like if anything goes wrong, that falls down onto your employer, not yourself. So like if with anything, your employer, it's like their role or job to basically make sure that you're well equipped and you know what you're doing.
So you've secured the job. What do you actually do? Let's sum it up.
What I do is I just basically do CDD files, customer due diligence cases, where I ensure that our customers are who they say they are. I collate information and documents and legal verification files as well, and basically ensure that the entity, the business is who they say they are, the client is who they say they are, and that everything obviously complies to regulatory law, which differs based in jurisdiction. So on the day-to-day, that could just be like talking with the client and asking them like, okay, so like, what is it that you do? Can you send me this document? I need to verify this document. And then we also liaise with the transaction monitoring team as well to ensure like their transactions are consistent with expectations, a few meetings here and there. So that's basically what I do on a day-to-day.
Okay, so what is your one pro and your one con of working in compliance?
The pro of compliance, for me anyway, is the investigative nature of it. So it's like, you know, when you have a client or a case or an entity, it's like it's kind of like an investigation. You're like trying to figure out, is this right? Is this consistent with expectations? Like you have to like maybe go through different local registers, business registry extracts, check financials. It's kind of like an investigation, and you're like collating all your documents, trying to piece everything together, and then like have a concrete case file as well, so that if any regulatory body wants to come in and say like, okay, we want to check this meets compliant regulatory standards, then you can just present that to them, kind of thing. Yeah,
you're kind of like a detective.
Kind of like a detective. I like the forensic nature. Yeah, definitely. The con, I think the biggest con for me would probably be the fact that with compliance, it's very serious. Like if you're complicit in something that could potentially be illegal or whatnot, you're facing prison time. You're facing prison time.
Not the jail.
You're going to jail. Your HMP pen, like, you're gone. Or you could be faced with a fine, like a hefty fine. Fines can range from like 2K, 15K. So it's like, you have to be like on your ball. Like you have to pay attention to detail and make sure that like you're on it, because if something slips through the cracks and it's like, you didn't catch this, like would you helping the client commit fraud? Were you helping the client, commit terrorist funding? Like you become an accomplice, and you could face serious prison time.
Too serious for me.
My point is that there's no compliance without risk. So we always take a risk-based approach to make sure that we don't come into contact with any unexpected risk.
Thank you. And that's a wrap. So thank you so much, Nicole, for coming. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And I will catch you guys in the next